Guys, today I would like to talk to you about the useful tips and recommendations how to pass global general service test for the UN positions. So if you're applying for a UN position for general service categories, you're required to pass a GGST exam in one of the locations of the duty station of the position. So someone has already applied and is about to take the test, or someone has tried and didn't pass it successfully, or someone is just applying for a position and trying to get invited for a GTST test. So this video will be useful for you to get prepared for it and to know what to expect and to try to pass it from at the first attempt, because if you don't pass it at the first attempt, you will have to wait for 3 months to pass it again, and if you don't pass it the second time, then you will have to wait for 6 months to try to pass it again. So the first thing that you would like to know and to do when you know that you're about to take the GGST exam, you will go to the career.un.org website and you will read the information about it. Also in the invitation, they will give you a brief information and the link to this website. So here you can read about test format, that it's made of three sections. It's verbal reasoning, numerical reasoning, and situational judgment. So if you ever passed or prepared to the graduate exams like GRE or GMAT, this is a much simpler version of it. It's not hard. Maybe if English is not your native language, you can face some difficulties. But in general, the test is not too hard. But you need to be prepared to know what to expect on the day of your test, because I personally didn't pass the test since at the first attempt, because I didn't know the structure of the test. I didn't bother read directions because I wanted to save some time on actually solving the problems, and that's why I think I lost some very important information that 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 was an obstacle to give the correct answers. That's why I'm making this video for you to get prepared for the test and not to waste your time on the day of the test. So actually, the career website has a very good video on the procedure and the structure of the test. I very recommend you to watch it, and especially pay attention to the directions that they provide you at the video, and the format of the test. So in the video, they say that you can save the answers when you are answering, and you can go back to the answers later when you finished answering all questions. You will have an option to go back to any question and correct your answer. And when you are sure, when you're confident about your answers, then you can submit your answers. But you need to track the time. I don't remember, maybe they give you like half an hour for each section. So just track the time. It will be the clock will be at the right corner, so you know how much time is left to submit the answers. But I didn't realize that at my first attempt. That's why I wasn't able to go back and to correct my answers. Also, everybody has such an option. So it's a good way to get prepared. I strongly recommend you to watch this video and to get yourself knowledgeable about the exam. Now, they give you sample tests here. They're provided in the 6 languages, because every duty station, I guess, has in different languages. I passed it in New York, so my duty station was my test was in English. Now, here, if you download this file, then they will provide you very basic samples of the questions, and the questions are very simple. On the day of the test, the questions will not be so simple as in the samples. They will give you some idea of the test, but I don't want you to get flattered by the fact that the questions will be too simple and you don't pay too much attention to the preparation for the test. That's why I want to share with you another way to prepare yourself for the test. If you go to this link, and I'll save it in the description of the video. If you go to the hrun.org and you will go to the examination sections of this website, actually it gives you also some description of the GGST exam, but it also has samples of the verbal reasoning test as a separate test in the UN. So here you can download another sample test that belong to verbal reasoning test section. And there the questions are more relevant and they are more difficult, and they will make you prepare to the test better. Now, the structure of the test, it will be basically they will give you 4 pieces of text, and then they will give you maybe 10 questions after those pieces about the test. So they will ask you something like, in what text A, B, C, or D the text answering to these questions, or in what text they were discussed something something, or what part of the what type of the text has a arguing mode, something like this. If you were prepared for the TOEFL and for the one of the graduate exams, then you're very familiar to the verbal reasoning questions. Also, if you never passed anything like that, if you don't know the structure of such questions, I recommend you to Google verbal reasoning questions, and there will be plenty of them that you can get prepared for. But most of them, they just require like knowledge of the language and some logic skills. So don't be afraid, and don't get afraid that it's too complicated. Now, let's talk about the second part of the test. It's numerical reasoning. For the numerical reasoning, you don't need to have any specific math knowledge. You will be able to use a calculator on the computer. You cannot bring the calculator with yourself, but you can use it on the computer. There will be basic math questions, maybe calculating the percentage and calculating the numbers. You can also download a sample test here on this website, but again, the questions will be too simple in the test. That's why I recommend you to go to my other web page, and also to download the test here. Here on that trade and craft test, you'll be able to see the math and the judgmental situation questions. So again, in this sample test, you'll be able to get familiar and to get prepared for the numerical reasoning and situational judgment questions. Those questions will not be exactly the same like in GGST, but they will be similar, especially if we look at the tables. You see tables, because in the numerical section of the GGST exam, there will be 20 questions. 5 will be asked from the tables, 5 will be from the graphs, 5 will be on the time and time difference and time zones questions. For those questions, I strongly recommend you to read the instructions and get familiar with the time zone map, maybe ahead of the time, because I just had a very classic mistake. I the time zone. Let me just show you how it looks like. Time time zone map, right? So let's go to this map. Let's go to this map. So they will give you something like a world map like this, and they will ask you, for instance, what is the time difference, let's say in Russian Federation, right? Well, Russian Federation is a bad example because they have lots of different, but they say they will ask about Kazakhstan. Now you see in Kazakhstan here on the map it says +6. There on the test it will not be written +6, but they will give you like the numbers here on the top and at the bottom. And my mistake is that I was looking at the lines on the top of the bottom, and I thought that Kazakhstan was +5, but actually you have to pay attention not to the numbers but to the colors as well, and it says in the directions. So please read the directions carefully before you start any assignment, because if they say that the yellow color is +6, then it means that Kazakhstan belongs to +6. And and what I did, I just looked at the lines, which was wrong. So that's why I want you to get familiar with the time zone before you go to the test. And another 5 questions, I think they will be like problem solving questions, but very, very basic, very straightforward that there will be nothing like on the GMAT exam, not so difficult. They will not ask you geometry, but they will maybe ask you some basic calculation, and you can train and practice solving the problems in that numerical section that I showed you. Okay, and the last section is the situational judgment. Now, for the situational judgment, the questions that you just know is, just read about United Nations core values and competencies. What it will give you, just try to use your own logic, and if you had some experience at your work, try to apply the same logic that you would have to do if you in your current job. For instance, they will ask you, what if you had two projects to work, and let's say your coworker got sick, and now you have to do on the two assignments at the same time, and you are not sure if you can meet the deadlines. So how would you behave? Now, the correct answer would be is just talk to your teammates. Try to solve the problem at the team level, then you go to the supervisor. Then they will ask you also a question. For instance, if you saw your coworker breaking some rule, what would you do? And there will be one option that you will complain to the manager about your coworker, or you try to talk to your coworker yourself and give him a warning. Now, if it's a small violation, you can always try to talk to the teammate yourself, and just to give a warning. If it's a small violation, you don't have to escalate to the manager if you can solve the problem at the local level. But if it's a big violation like harassment or abuse, or violating of the organization's property, then you have to report. So just read about the UN rules. You can also look at them at the manual. There is on the Korea website, there is a manual. If you go here, maybe I will save it in the link. If you go to the I think it's here. There is like, oh, this is the applicant's manual, but I think you can also look at the employee level or something like employee handbook, and try to get familiar with the United Nations rules. But again, those questions you have to be able just to solve them by yourself, and to provide answers on your own. And the core, my core recommendation, my core tip to you is the basic idea of the situational judgment is try to solve a problem at the local level if it's not too big, and then escalate it or report it to the management. Okay, and also again, in this link that I gave you, there will be sample questions on the situational judgment too. So let's look at, for instance, first question. Let's look at this. Here, situational judgment, page number 11. So, first question. Chaz is driving on the freeway at a safe speed and a safe distance from the vehicle in front of him. He is going to meet a client. Because there is more traffic than he anticipated, he realizes that he might arrive late. If then it then starts to rain, what should Chaz do? So you see, so basically, an employee is facing a problem. Now let's look at the answers. Slow down a bit, stay at the same speed, speed up a bit, or speed up enough to arrive on time. Now let's think about the solution. Okay, let's try to read the question again. Chaz is driving on the freeway at a safe speed and at safe distance from the vehicle in front of him. He is going to meet a client. Because there is more traffic than he anticipated, he realizes that he might arrive late. It then starts to rain. So what should he do? So let's try to go with some exclusions. Speed up enough to arrive on time. This is the incorrect answer because you cannot put yourself to danger. You cannot risk your and somebody else's life just to get enough on time. No, this is wrong. Speed up a bit. If it's breaking the rule, I don't think that you should do that. Stay at the same speed. This could be a correct answer. Slow down a bit. Why would you slow down? Maybe it starts to rain, that's why. So, okay. I think that the correct answer is slow down a bit because then it starts to rain. So if it's raining, you cannot go fast, right? It will put you in the danger position. And they gave you information about the rain for some purpose. So I would say that he should slow down a bit. And let's look at the answer. 1. 1A. You see, the answer key is 1A. So I swear to God, I didn't look at the answer before I was trying to solve the problem. So again, this is a good example just to test your logic and just to test your your judgmental skills. But again, the key is try to solve a problem on your own and try to adhere to the rules. Don't break the rules. Don't put anyone or yourself in danger. Don't create any any situations that could harm you or someone else, because the UN is very concerned about safety and about the health of its employees. That's why try to build your logic around these rules. And I'm sure if you prepare yourself with a good amount of time, I would say you can spend like 1 to 3 days, not more than this. Try to test solve as more as you can verbal reasoning questions, numerical questions, and situational judgment. You can also look for the other questions online, but I'm pretty sure if you solve the sample questions from both these files that you are able to download from both of my links, you'll be good. And now, the most interesting part of my video is that on the website, I didn't find an answer to the question, what is the threshold? How many scores should you get to pass the exam? Because I didn't find such information on the frequent asked questions section. However, since I passed that exam on my own, I can share this information with you. And here it is. Oh, sorry. Um, Second. So here it is. Effective 29 December 2006. Candidates must obtain a minimum score on each subsection of the test as well as an overall score of equal to or greater than 50%. You see, the threshold is minimal. You just have to basically answer 50% or half of the questions right to pass the test. So please don't freak out. Don't get stressful about the test. The test is not so complicated as it may seem to you. So for the verbal reasoning, you have to pass. You have to get more or 45% for numerical reasoning, 45 or more percent for the situation judgment, 45 or more percent. However, a total the total score should be more than 50, should be equal to or more than 50% if you want to pass the test. That's why the successful rate of the test is big, and I think many people have big chances to pass the test because it's only step one of the evaluation. So if you pass the GGST exam, this is only step one. Step two will be the assignment for the position, and step three will be the interview, the competency-based interview that I'm going to talk about in my other video. So please stay tuned. Look for my other video, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them at the bottom of the video, and please subscribe and like it. And if you have any thoughts or concerns, please don't hesitate to share it with me. So good luck, everyone, and I wish you a great career with the United Nations. Bye bye.